Today's lesson is Chapter 1, Section 2B, 2B. And we're going to have these three ideas. We're going to have fractions, we're going to have decimals, and we're going to have percents. And some of the questions are going to say, take this fraction and change it into a decimal. Take this decimal, change it into a percent. Take this fraction, change it into a percent. So we're just going to abracadabra one of these into something else. All right, if we're going to take a percent and a decimal, and we're going to change them into like a percent into a decimal into a percent, it's all about moving the decimal, hopping the decimal. The decimal is going to hop, the decimal is going to move, we're going to hop the dot. So in the number 32, it might not look like there's a decimal, but all whole numbers have a decimal at the back. And 0.16, we can see the decimal right there. Okay, percentages. If it starts here and we want to make it a decimal, we're going to hop backwards 2 times. And the decimal is going to now be in front of the 3. So the decimal would be 0.32. If it's already a decimal, now I'm going to hop 1, 2 places to the right. That's going to turn into 16%. Okay, so here's kind of a silly, goofy way of remembering it. If we want to make something a decimal, the word decimal starts with a D. And a D has a stick and a D has a hoop. Okay, stay with me here. If I want to make something a percent also has a stick and a hoop. Here's my stick, here's my hoop. If I think about the hoopy part of the decimal, I know that's not correct, but just go with me here. The hoopy part of the decimal, that's on the left side of the stick. But a percent, the hoopy part, is on the right side of the stick. So if I want to make something a decimal, right? I had this guy and I wanted to make him a decimal. I hop left because decimal has a D and the circle part, the hoopy part, is on the left. I started with this guy, the decimal, and I want to make him a percent. Not what is he now, but I want to make him a percent. So he's right here. I'm going to hop to the right 2 places because the hoopy part is on the right side of the stick. And you always multiply or hop 2 times because percents are out of 100 and 100 has 2 zeros. So basically what we're doing here is we're dividing by 100 and here we're multiplying by 100. But really, most people just think move the dot, hop the dot has to hop. If I'm making it a decimal, 1, 2 to the left. If I want to make this guy a percent, 1, 2 to the right. 100 has 2 zeros, that's why it's 2 hops. All right, the next part on your homework is going to ask you to take a fraction and make it into a percent. And so you're thinking to yourself, Miss Beenhauer, why do you have this extra section? Well, because we can't go directly from fraction to percent, we have to make a pit stop. We're going to stop here at decimals and go from fractions to decimals, then decimals to percents. So let's say I had a fraction that I know in my head, 1/2. Okay, maybe you just know that that's 50%. I'll give that to you. Let's do another in your head. Do you know what percent 1/4 is? 1/4. 25%. Okay. But lots of them we don't. So let's say we wanted 2/5. Now you say, okay, I do remember that from the last quiz. 2/5 is the same as 0.4. Now that I know it's a decimal, I can hop 2 times to the right and get my final answer of 40%. Okay, but what if there's one that you can't do easily? Let's say we had 11/15. Well, I got to make it a decimal first. Then once I know it's a decimal, then I can hop it twice and make it a percent. So this one's going to require some scratch work. I can't just do 11/15 in my head. So I'm going to come over here and divide. 15 goes into 11 0 times. 15 goes into 110 7 times, which is 105. If you weren't sure of that, you could come over here and start doing scratch work. You could do 15 times 5, 15 times 6, 15 times 7, until you figured out the closest without going over. All right, so I subtract and get a 5. Darn, didn't go evenly. So I have to add another 0, bring it down. I can do this one in my head. I can skip count 15, 30, 45. Bless me. Oh, I guess sneeze again. Okay, push pause so you didn't hear that one. 15 can go into 50 3 times, which is 45. And I subtract and I get a 5 again. So if I bring down another 0, it's going to be a 3 again. And the cycle's just going to keep going. So I now know what my decimal is. My decimal is 0.73 repeating. 7333, remember, there's a whole bunch of 3s. It's kind of easier to write it that way because I got to hop twice. 1, 2. Final answer is 73.3 repeating percent. Notice that the bar can only go on top of numbers that are past the decimal. So a bar can't go over here, bar can only go here, and I only write this guy once. Okay, you try 5/6. So off to the side, do some division so that you can get a decimal. Once you know the decimal, hop to the right twice. Did you get 83.3 repeating percent? Woo! All right. All right, let's do one more example. What if you started off as 7/4? I've already done the division. 4 would go into 7 once, blah, 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 blah. You get 1.75. So you may have decimals that look like that. 1.75. Then no problem. We're still going to hop 2 places to the right. 175%. So if they start off improper, they're going to be over 100%. It would be like getting 3 bonus points on a quiz. On a 4-point quiz, you got 7 out of 4. That means you have like way bonus on your assignment. All right, here are your Google Classroom questions. The first one is, how many hops? No matter what you're doing, if you're going decimal percent or percent decimal, it's always the same number of hops. So how many? Type in a number. Question 2, tell me what direction, left or right. What direction, if you're going to make it a decimal. We're going to make it into a decimal. What direction, left or right? Question 3, I want you to change 0.2 into a percent. 0.2, 2/10, change that into a percent and type that in. I think the percent key is above one of the numbers, like maybe above the 6, 7, 8 key. I can't remember. All right, good luck.